Looking for magic cards? At flipsidegaming.com you can now use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10 while supporting the channel at the same time. Hello and welcome to another modern gameplay video. This week we're taking a look at the Glorious Boros, a red-white aggro combo deck that's trying to take advantage of the newly printed Chance for Glory, a 3-mana instant that says creatures we control gain indestructible, which is not an effect that ends at the end of turn like you would normally see, but this will stay for our creatures forever. Then we also get to take an extra turn after this one, which is a very powerful effect. But then the big drawback of the card, of course, is that at the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. And then in a very similar vein, we also have full 4 copies of Glorious End, a 3-mana instant that says end a turn. So instead of us taking an extra turn, we can play Glorious End in the opponent's upkeep, and the opponent will have to skip their entire turn, so they don't even get a draw step if we play it before they get a chance to do so. Or we could even wait for the opponent to cast a spell and then play Glorious End with that spell still on the stack, and because the turn ends, the spell will get removed from the stack without resolving. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with Glorious End, but then it also has the same drawback, which says at the beginning of your next end step, you lose the game. So we've got these two very powerful cards that essentially let us take an extra turn, but they both have the drawback of also losing us the game. So that's where the next category of cards come in. We've got the full 4 copies of Gideon of the Trials, which is a 3-mana planeswalker, starts out with 3 loyalty. The +1 ability prevents all damage target permanent would deal until our next turn. The first 0 ability turns Gideon into a 4/4 creature, and then the second 0 ability is what really helps us with Glorious End and Chance for Glory, because we get an emblem that says as long as we control a Gideon planeswalker, we can't lose the game and the opponent can't win the game. So if we have a Gideon and a Gideon emblem in play, then we can play Glorious End and Chance for Glory without any drawback. And then the next card that helps us survive Glorious End and Chance for Glory is Sundial of the Infinite, a 2-mana artifact that has the ability for 1 mana and tapping the Sundial to end the turn, but we can only activate this ability during our own turn. So unlike Glorious End, which we can use at instant speed during the opponent's turn to make them skip their turn, so we essentially take an extra turn, Sundial of the Infinite can only be used during our turn, but it still has some very interesting applications. For example, after casting a Chance for Glory, if the trigger that says we lose the game goes on the stack, we can simply use our Sundial to make that trigger go away by ending our turn, so we don't lose the game, and same with Glorious End as well. And there's even more interesting things you can do with Sundial in this deck, which I'll get back to in a second. So this is the combo package in the deck. We've got our 8 extra turn cards, and we've got our 8 cards that prevent us from losing the game when we use those extra turn cards. And of course, Gideon, being a planeswalker that turns into a creature, also fits into our aggro plan pretty well. So now it's time to take a look at the entire deck list, starting out with our 1-drops, where we've got the full 4 copies of Faithless Looting, letting us draw 2 and discard 2, so it gives us a bit of card filtering to get rid of extra copies of Sundial of the Infinite, for example, or to dig for those extra turn cards when we need them, and also has flashback for 2 in a red, so we can do it again at 3 mana. Then we've got the full 4 copies of Lightning Bolt as removal and as a burn spell if we need to finish off a planeswalker or an opponent. And then we get to the creature part of the deck. We've got a total of 11 1-drops, and the reason why I like building this Chance for Glory Glorious End deck in this more aggressive shell is so that we get to maximize every extra turn we get by also attacking with all our creatures. So besides getting an extra draw step or maybe activating a planeswalker, we are also attacking with all our creatures. Plus we also have the upside of making Chance for Glory even better by having a lot of cheap creatures that we can then make indestructible with Chance for Glory, which will last for the remainder of the game, making it very difficult for the opponent to get rid of our creatures. So taking a look at our creatures, we've got the full 4 copies of Staplings, 1 mana for a 0/1, that has the Landfall ability, which says whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, Staplings gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So Staplings, of course, combines very nicely with the 10 fetch lands we have in our deck, which essentially give us 2 landfall triggers, giving Staplings +4/+4 until end of turn, so we can get a lot of damage in very quickly during those extra turns to try and kill our opponent before they get to take another turn. And then next up, we've got the full 4 copies of Bomat Courier, 1 mana for a 1/1 creature with haste, that says whenever Bomat Courier attacks, exile the top card of your library face down, so you don't get to look at it. And then you can pay 1 red mana, discard your hand, and sacrifice Bomat Courier to put all the cards exiled with Courier into your hand, so giving you a lot of card advantage potentially. So besides being a fine creature by itself in aggro decks, Bomat Courier also combines very nicely with Sundial of the Infinite, because one thing we could do, let's say our opponent has a bunch of blockers out that we can't attack past with our Bomat Courier, we can still attack with our Bomat Courier. The trigger will go on the stack, we get to exile the top card of our library face down, And then before our opponent gets to block and kill our Bowman Courier, we can simply activate our Sundial of the Infinite and end our turn, essentially resulting in an extra card exiled with Bowman Courier without losing it. And then at any point, once we've accumulated enough exiled cards with the Bowman Courier, we can always sacrifice it to gain all those extra cards back. And of course, once we are taking extra turns with Chance for Glory and Glorious End, whenever we attack with our Bowman Courier, we get even more card advantage, which we can then use to sacrifice a Courier and hopefully find even more copies of Chance for Glory and Glorious End to kind of keep chaining those extra turns. And then the final 1-drop in the deck is Figure of Destiny, 1 hybrid red or white mana for a 1/1 creature that has 3 different abilities that we have to use in order. So first off, we can pay 1 mana to turn Figure of Destiny into a 2/2 creature, then we can pay 3 mana to turn Figure of Destiny into a 4/4, and then we can pay 6 mana to turn Figure of Destiny into an 8/8 creature with flying and first strike. So very nice mana sink for the deck as well, since sometimes we will float out a little bit, so sinking that mana into Figure of Destiny is always nice. And then last but not least, we've got 2 copies of Gideon Ally of Zendikar as another powerful curve topper to pressure the opponent with, and also synergizes with the emblem we get from Gideon of the Trials, which doesn't care about which type of Gideon we have in play, as long as it's a Gideon Planeswalker, we'll be safe from losing the game. So that's why having more Gideons is also helpful. And then taking a look at our mana base, we've got 4 copies of Inspiring Vantage as a fast land, comes into play untapped if it's one of our first 3 lands. Then we've got a bunch of basic plains to go along with our sideboard plan of Blood Moon, 1 basic mountain. We've got 3 Sacred Foundries that we can fetch up with our fetch lands, and then as we've mentioned, a total of 10 fetch lands to power up our Staplings for Flooded Strand, for Arid Mace, and 2 Windswept Heath. And then going over the sideboard, we've got 1 copy of Path to Exile to deal with large creatures that need to be exiled. We've got 2 copies of Abrade to deal with small creatures and artifacts, 2 copies of Lightning Helix against Burn and Aggro decks, 2 Damping Spheres against Tron and Storm decks, the full 4 copies of Rest in Peace as Graveyard Hate, 3 copies of Blood Moon against the Tron decks, Scapeshift decks, and 2 Punish greedy mana bases. And this is why having all these plains and fetch lands comes in handy, so we can still have double plains out when we play our Blood Moon, so we can still play our Gideons. And then we also have an extra copy of Gideon Ally of Zendikar to bring in mostly against the control decks. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the play. And this hand looks okay. We've got some early pressure in the form of Staplings, and we've got Gideon plus a Chance for Glory, so seems good. And usually, whenever you're playing a deck with a bunch of landfall creatures, you want to keep the fetch lands as your last land, so we definitely want to lead with the Sacred Foundry here. Opponent suspends an Ancestral Vision, that's fine. Picked up a Plains, which is nice, since now we don't have to use our fetch land right away. So I think we're just gonna play a Plains, trigger Landfall, play another Staplings, attack for 2, keep up Lightning Bolt, and then next turn we can play our fetch lands to trigger both Staplings twice. And then next turn we have to decide if we want to Chance for Glory first, or if we want to play Gideon first. Both are possible. Alright, picked up another Gideon, so let's play a fetch land, trigger Landfall, and I think we go get another Sacred Foundry here. And then we'll attack for 8. And I think we'll just play Gideon here. Even if it gets countered, we've got another one. Alright, Gideon resolves, so we'll make an emblem. And then next turn we can Chance for Glory, hopefully pick up a land to trigger Landfall again. Field of Ruin, that's fine. Alright, picked up a fetch land, so technically speaking our opponent's just dead on board here without the extra turn. We're gonna turn Gideon into a creature. Attack with everyone. And then fetch up another land here. And our opponent's taking 12. And our opponent packs it in. Alright, so didn't even need to take an extra turn there, but we did have the means to. So onto sideboarding against what looks like a blue control deck. Gideon, Ally of Zendikar can come in. Don't think we want Blood Moon since they've got plenty of basics. So I think it's just 1 Gideon coming in. And what do we take out? Probably 1 Lightning Bolt is my guess. So yeah, I think this is our plan. Alright, we're on the draw. And this hand's not great. It's got a lot of lands in it, but Bowman Courier can potentially help. So I think we'll keep... And there's the Celestial Colonnade. Alright, so we want to keep fetch lands in hand, I think, still. Let's just take 2 from Sacred Foundry, play Bowman's Courier, and attack for 1. and hope the Bowman Courier sticks around so we can draw some extra cards with him. Alright, Figure of Destiny is a good draw. So let's take 2 from the Sacred Foundry, play Figure pre-combat. Resolves, attack for 1. Opponent takes it. And we'll just pass a turn. And now we've got both Lightning Bolt and the Figure's ability at the ready. Or we could still sacrifice the Bowman Courier if something strange happens. Alright, Field of Ruin's fine. So your opponent just says go. We'll pump up the Figure here, I think. Get to untap. Staplings is a good pickup. So we do have to be mindful of a sweeper effect next turn. So this is going to be an interesting turn to play out, since what we could even consider is play our third land, not play Staplings if our opponent has Supreme Verdict. We could Chance for Glory and then hope that Bowman Courier delivers a way for us to survive the Chance for Glory. It's a pretty all-in play, which may not be the way to go here, but it is a line we have available. So I think we'll start by attacking with both creatures here. Alright, so we got our damage in. Bowman Courier is accumulating some extra cards. Let's say our opponent has a Supreme Verdict. We can bolt their face, sack Courier, draw 3 cards. It's not terrible, but also not great. Whereas if they Supreme Verdict, we Chance for Glory, and we can find a Sundial or a Gideon with a Bowman Courier or a draw step, then we're in a much better spot. So I think we're just gonna say go here. Alright, and if our opponent does nothing, we can just bump the Figure of Destiny instead. Let's get a Plains. Figure turns into a 4/4. Untap. And another Chance for Glory. Can probably still lead with our Flooded Strand in case we need to sack Courier. Attack with both. I guess the Settler Wreckage would be pretty painful, in which case we might want to play the Staplings first, so that we can still bolt the opponent and sack the Courier. Instead it looks like maybe a Cryptic Command here, counter. So yeah, we could have considered attacking first, which would have been bad against Settle, but I guess Cryptic Command is running higher numbers than Settler Wreckage. Still a bit surprised that they went for that line, since now we could have potentially resolved the Gideon, which is a lot scarier than a Staplings. Alright, so let's just attack for 1. It is tempting to just Chance for Glory here, since with all the extra cards from Courier we might find a Gideon or a Sundial. I think we're just replaying Figure of Destiny for now. And then saying go. Alright, looks like our opponent might be going for a Teferi here. Instead a Baneslayer Angel. Okay. So the best answer to Baneslayer is just a 3-mana Gideon plussing on it. So it could be that we should have brought in our single copy of Path to Exile over one of these bolts. Could have been useful now. And taking a quick look at our library here, all 4 Gideons and all 4 Sundials are still in our library, so we didn't exile them with Courier sadly. Pump our Figure. Untap. Another land. I think we still attack with both here actually. Alright, opponent does actually block the Figure of Destiny. So yeah, this is gonna be exciting, since either our next draw step or the next card we exile with Bowman Courier has to be a Gideon or a Sundial, otherwise we lose. Let's grab a land. Chance for Glory. And then we can also bolt the Baneslayer. And then we get to untap, take our extra turn, and our draw step is not a Gideon or a Sundial. Alright, so it all comes down to the card we exile with Bowman Courier next, since we saw beforehand that we didn't already exile a Gideon or a Sundial. So yeah, we get one shot here at finding Gideon or Sundial to maybe win the game. Sacrifice Courier. And no Gideon, no Sundial. So now we lose. Alright, it's unfortunate. So now we just lose our own Chance for Glory. Alright, so that didn't really go according to plan. Yeah, we should have brought in Path over one of the bolts, I think. Even though Bolt has flexibility of going to Planeswalkers as well. Baneslayer just has to be answered. So yeah, I think we try this. Alright, would like to be on play. And this hand seems decent. Don't have any extra turn cards yet, but the looting can help. We've got the sundial already. Yeah, I think this is a keep. And now we have to decide between Staplings turn 1 or Courier. Usually want to get the Courier online as soon as possible, but Staplings can hit for a lot of damage if you played early. So I think we actually lead with the Staplings here. Opponent takes 2. And it's going to be an Ancestral Vision suspended. Alright, let's hope to kill them before it resolves. Alright, so we can play our land. And I think we're just going to play 2 Couriers for now. Then extra looting, look for both lands and extra turn cards. Alright, opponent kept a 1-lander. Alright, let's try and punish them here. Alright, 2 lands, perfect. Kind of want all of these cards. The Sundial goes well with the Glorious End. Gideon's just a great threat by itself. We kind of want to assemble the combo here, so I think we ditch the Gideon and then ditch the land. And then try and assemble the combo. Because that's what we're here for. Attack with everyone. Play a Sundial. Opponent does have a path for Staplings, that's fine. Get a mountain. Yeah, I think Gideon was probably the correct card to keep there, but kind of a boring option. Let's just play Sundial. And next turn we get to use our Glorious End. And at the end of turn, use our Sundial so we don't lose the game. Keep attacking with our Bombard Couriers in the meantime. Alright, they did find a second land. And Sacred Foundry. So let's take 2 here. Don't think our life total matters too much at this point. Attack with both. See what happens. Opponent's got an Opt. So we don't need to be concerned with a Snapcaster Mage ambushing our Couriers here. And our opponent does have a path to exile for one of the Couriers. We could just sacrifice a Courier, but then, of course, we also lose the Glorious End. So are we likely to find an extra turn card with the 3 cards exiled, or how do we play this one? I guess we just Sundial here, end the turn. We don't deal any damage, but we save the Bombard Courier by exiling the path to exile, and now we can Glorious End to make the opponent skip their turn. But they might counter this. Instead, our opponent opts in response. That's fine. And a chance for glory means we get to keep going off here. Sweet. Have to remember to use our Sundial. And our Bombard Couriers are going to deliver a lot of packages soon. So let's get in. Trigger goes on the stack, end our turn. And then take our extra turn with chance for glory, picked up another one. Let's keep going. Alright, well, we're seeing the deck in action nicely here. Opponent did have to miss a few land drops in this third game, but... So we could start sacking one of the Couriers here, but I think we can wait. Make it more likely to find an additional extra turn card here. Alright, path to exile we don't really care about. So let's attack. Get into damage. Sack a Courier. And yeah, we can keep going, so we can play Figure of Destiny. Play a fetch land. And then we'll have to use Sundial to not lose the game. And then in the opponent's upkeep, we can Glorious End again. Opponent didn't have a counterspell last time, so they probably still don't have one. And our opponent scoops it up. Awesome, so we were going to untap, pump up our Figure of Destiny, and wins the game from there. So we got to take a bunch of extra turns, and Bomat Courier also showed how good it can be in this type of deck. So on to the next one. Alright, we're on the play. And this hand seems okay. Lots of early creatures, chance in case we pick up Gideon or Sundial. And we'll lead by fetching Sacred Foundry and playing a Steplings, I think. The damage from Steplings probably worth more than the card from the Bomat Courier here. Alright, opponent with an Ornithopter, so they're on affinity here. Double Ornithopter. And a Signal Pest. Alright, and there's Gideon, perfect. So, let's play our fetch land. And we will have to fetch right away, since we want to play both couriers here. While we still can. Opponent takes it down to 14. So if we can draw land here, that's going to be a big deal. And a Cranial Plating, alright. They are missing a Mox Opal to really take advantage of their start. Alright, Flooded Strand means we can now play Chancellor Glory. The problem with playing Gideon here is that in the face of Cranial Plating, he's going to die. Even if we plus on one of their creatures, they just equip another one. So I don't think I like playing Gideon. So let's play the fetch land, attack with everyone. Suppose we could also just play a Figure of Destiny here, and then wait one more turn with Chancellor Glory. That might be better, actually. Gives us an extra attacker. Opponent's gonna block the couriers, that's fine. Yeah, let's just play a Figure. And then we can level it up once. Untap and Chancellor Glory, and then we'll have 4 indestructible creatures instead of just 3. Alright, opponent's gonna equip Plating onto Ornithopter. And get in for a nice big chunk of damage. Alright, let's level up Figure, untap. So let's attack with everyone. And then grab another Plains. And we'll let damage happen. On the off chance that our opponent has a removal spell they want to use, we can Chancellor Glory in response. But we will just Chancellor Glory now. Take our extra turn, untap, and if our opponent has nothing, we can level up our Figure of Destiny to get in for 6 more, and our opponent's dead. So we don't even need to get in here to go off. Can just use Chancellor Glory the way it was intended. Alright, sweet. So, definitely want our Lightning Helix, and our 2 copies of Abrade, and our Path to Exile, I think, as well. Ally of Zendikar a bit slow, gets pressured easily by their evasive creatures. And what else are we taking out? Getting of the Trials, also not great, but I think we just need it to make sure our combo works. So I think we'll just cut some lootings, since I don't know what else to cut, and give this a shot. And sadly we can't play Stony Silence in our sideboard because it stops our Sundial and our Bomat Courier, so it's actually a pretty good card against us. And what about this opening hand? I mean, it does have some pretty good cards if we can draw lands. And we've got a Bolt for interactions, I think we can keep. And just hope for the best. This time our opponent does have Mox Opal, so we might see a much more explosive draw. And yep, it's going to be a turn 1 Steel Overseer, so we don't even have the time to develop a 1-drop, we just have to bolt it, otherwise we die. And that's not a land, so could be in a bit of trouble here. And it's going to be a Cranial Plating. And the Ornithopter can get in for 4. Opponent is down to 2 cards in hand. But an Inkmoth Nexus equipped with a Cranial Plating can end the game pretty quick. And yeah, that's not a land, so now we're probably dead, since we probably died to the Inkmoth before we even get to 3 mana here. And between Courier and Figure of Destiny, I guess we play the Courier. Get in for 1. Alright, kept a 1-lander on the draw. Didn't draw our second land. Definitely a speculative hand, but if we can go turn 2 Sundial, turn 3 take an extra turn, we would have had a decent curve. But now a Master of Ethereum's gonna pump up Ornithopter even more. And next turn we're just gonna be dead. So we could play the Sundial here, but I don't really want to show my opponent. If we fetch, we're just dead on board. So yeah, we're just dead to the Ornithopter if they activate the Ink Moth. That's an additional artifact, and then plating bumps Ornithopter for one more, even if they don't play anything out of their hand. Could represent a removal spell here. So I guess we'll make him play it out. Don't want to show them the Sundial, since otherwise they might change their sideboard plan. So yeah, the Darksteel Citadel is going to be enough here for Ornithopter to be lethal. And the Ravager is going to ensure that even if we kill a creature, they still get to move around some counters. Alright, so we're super dead here. Well, we got stuck on one land and our opponent kind of had nut draw, so not too surprising. Do we change anything? Yeah, looting is kind of important to make sure we find the missing pieces, but don't really see what else we could cut, since as soon as we start cutting Gideons, then we have to start cutting Glorious End and Chance for Glory, so would like to be on the plate. And yeah, this is just an okay aggro hand. No real combo, but some nice interaction with Bolt and Helix. And we will definitely lead with the Bomat Courier here. Next turn we get to play Figure plus level it up. So Figure of Destiny, even though it's 1 mana, it actually acts like a 2-drop sometimes. But it also keeps up the flexibility of either using a Bolt or activating a Bomat Courier or a Sundial. So it plays pretty well in the deck. Alright, our opponent with a lot of mana. Turn 1 here. So let's play this untapped. Attack for 1 and then play Figure of Destiny. And there's an Ornithopter into another Inkmoth in 2. Etched Champion. Yeah, Etched Champion's annoying since we can't bolt it. And let's see, if we bolt the Ornithopter, they'll still have 3 artifacts, so we can't go bolt into Helix here. So that'll work. So that's an annoying roadblock. Of course, if we can make our creatures indestructible, we can still attack into it. Alright, Steplings. So let's play Steplings. And I think we're still playing our land here, even though it's kind of a waste with Landfall trigger. And then say go. Casually attack into the 2/2 protection from all colors. Next turn we could potentially level up Figure of Destiny up to a 4/4. We'll see. Another Mox Opal. And a Master of Ethereum, which is a 5/5 right now. So it requires both of our removal spells to get rid of. And a Cranial Plating as well, so opponent with a very good draw once again. So next turn we could Bolt plus Helix the Master to get rid of it, but we're still gonna die to the Etched Champion with Plating. So we need to draw on a Braid pretty much. Alright, it's on top. Another Figure of Destiny. And we have to use a Sacred Foundry here if we want to kill the Master. Our opponent is empty-handed on the bright side. Alright, let's just take 2. And I think we kill the Master of Ethereum now, otherwise they could activate their Inkmoth Nexus to save the Master of Ethereum, which would be a bad time. Play Figure. And we might as well attack with the Steplings, make him do it. Blinkmoth Nexus draw, so our opponent could go on the Infect plan here while they keep Champion back as a good blocker. So it's probably only going to take 2 attacks here from the Inkmoth Nexus to kill us. Don't think we have many outs here. So even if we find a Braid for plating, we'll be dead. So our only hope now is to chain together some extra turns. So here we're going to play our land, attack with everyone, and then hope that Bomat Courier can deliver us the goods. Opponent's going to block our 2/2 Figure of Destiny. We could bump it up to a 3/3, but then of course we can no longer take our extra turn, which is required. Alright, so our Figure of Destiny is going to die here. And then we can play Gideon, make an emblem, and then I think we're still probably dead, since our opponent can make sure to deal lethal poison, and then they can send the Etched Champion with a plating to get in here to make sure he's dead as well. And only 1 Lightning Bolt, so we can only kill one of the 2 Inkmoth Nexus. And yep, there goes the plating on Etched Champion. Alright, well, we gave it a shot. But the Affinity deck is definitely a difficult matchup, especially considering we can't afford to play Stony Silence in our sideboard. So the 2 copies of Inkmoth going to our face, and then Edge Champion going after Gideon, so even if we bolt one of them, still take lethal poison damage, and Gideon dies, so we lose the game. Alright, that's too bad. On to the next one. Alright, we're on a draw, can't keep a 0-lander. Alright, we'll try this, I guess. And keep a figure on top. Alright. Even though I would prefer to find a Gideon or a Sundial, I think we just have to keep the other creature here in case the courier dies, to make sure we have a bit of pressure still. Opponent on the Amulet deck. Turn 1 Amulets, that's pretty scary. Alright, let's lead with the courier. And yep, there's the Growth Chamber, so that's gonna make 2 mana right away. And in Azusa, Lost but Seeking, so your opponent with a perfect draw here. Turn 1 Amulet, turn 2 Azusa. So now they can make 4 additional mana. And an Explorer 2. Opponent's really going off here. So they have 1 more land drop remaining. And it's gonna be an Ancient Stirrings first. Finds a Golgari Rot Farm, another bounce land. Alright, well, hopefully they just can't find a Primeval Titan in time. Another Explorer. So your opponent's going to be able to cast a turn 3 Primeval Titan pretty comfortably. And oh, by the way, they have a blocker for the Bomat Courier too. Yeah, this isn't going great. We have a few extra turns lined up, but no way to survive them. And if your opponent plays Primeval Titan next turn, we're pretty much dead. And if you're somewhat confused about what's going on the other side of the table, we also made a video on the Amulet Titan deck a while back that you can check out if you want all the details. And Explosive Zone 1 could destroy our 1-drops, but I guess it would also blow up the Amulet. Alright, let's level up our Figure of Destiny, I guess. And just a land draw. Play our land, attack with the Figure. And our opponent's gonna sack the explosives. We could Glorious End here to prevent the 1-drops from dying. Don't know if that really does much for us, since then we would have to top deck a Gideon or a Sundial so we don't die. Don't think that's super likely here. So sure, we'll let the 1-drops die. And then hope to just top deck well from here and hope the opponent doesn't find a Primeval Titan in time. Alright, they had another Amulet, which is why they were okay sacking the explosives right away. Just a land. Still gonna keep Arid Mace in hand, I think, for a potential Stepplinks. Think I'm okay playing the 4th land. Have to balance being able to cast multiple spells and being able to discard lands to looting. And another Amulet from the opponents. Well, at least they're not playing a Titan yet. Let's play Bomat Courier, say go. And a Sakura Tribe Scouts. So far so good. And a Glorious End. Well, still don't think we wanna do anything here. Just have to find a Sundial or a Gideon to get the party started, or just any creature that can make profitable attacks here. Alright, both players going draw go for a while. Let's play another Bomat Courier, I guess. And looks like our opponent found something. And yep, there's Primeval Titan. Alright, I don't think we're beating Primeval Titans, so we might as well just Glorious End here and hope to top deck. So this is going to get rid of Primeval Titan on the stack. And then we just have to top deck a Sundial or a Gideon. And our opponent has a Pact of Negation too, to back up their Primeval Titan. So yeah, now we're just dead. With double Amulets, our opponent should be able to kill us with Primeval Titan here. Alright, it's too bad. So we will let our opponent do their thing here. But with double Amulet we should be dead. So Slayer Stronghold gives the Titan +2 power, haste and vigilance. They use it twice, it has 10 power. And now they can go get the land that gives their Titan double strike. So they get in for more than 20 damage. And yeah, there's Sunhome, so that'll do it. So moving on to sideboarding. Well, Blood Moon seems like a no-brainer here. And then Damping Sphere also shuts down all the dual lands, so that seems decent as well. Could consider a Braid to blow up amulets, and Gideon might be a good way to pressure them. Don't want to go too deep in the sideboard and dilute our deck too much here, but let's see, what can we take out? Bolt is not bad since it can deal with Azusa and the Tribe Scout, but if we're on the Blood Moon plan, then maybe we can let it go. Kinda want a Looting to help us find the Blood Moons, so maybe we just shave the Couriers since they can't attack into Azusa all that well, and just rely more on the Gideons to get there. Yeah, I think this is okay. Still keeping all of the combo pieces, Gideons to close out the game, and then a Braid, Damping Sphere and Blood Moon for interaction. Could be that we just want the Lightning Bolts instead of some other card here, but I think I'll submit this. Definitely want to be on the play. And yeah, that's an opening hand with Blood Moon, so it's gonna be a keep. And then hope to draw a third land in time. So let's fetch a basic Plains and play a Step Links. Opponent with a Radiant Fountain gaining 2. And they do have the Amulet on turn 1, so they might have another very explosive draw. Alright, a Braid is interesting. So we could just Braid the Amulet now. I think that's probably worth it. And get in for damage in the meantime. So we'll get a Sacred Foundry. And get in for 4. And then hope to draw a land next turn. Opponent has a backup amulet. Well, opponent definitely knows how to draw amulets, as they have a third one too. Alright, well, this Blood Moon better be good. So we don't have double white for Gideon at the moment, but we do have a decent number of planes in our deck that we can draw. Opponent does have basic forest, so they do have access to green mana, so if they have a Reclamation Sage, they could destroy the Blood Moon. Opponent's just gonna say go, Inspiring Vantage. Alright, so I think we're just playing a Step Links and then saying go, and then next turn we can play the Vantage to trigger landfall twice, so we can get in more damage. I think that's reasonable, so we might as well play the Sundial. Opponent could also have something like a Fire Spout to clear the board, which they can still cast here. It's gonna be Summoner's Pact for Reclamation Sage to destroy the Blood Moon. And now they can still play a dual land and generate 4 mana thanks to the amulets. So it's not gonna be an issue for them to pay for the Pact. Blood Moon off the top would win us a game. Instead, a Gideon of the Trial, still pretty good. So let's play our land and attack for 4. And I think we play Gideon before we Chance for Glory here, just to get that extra 4 attack in. And then we'll Emblem right now so we can start attacking next turn. And presumably Gideon survives the Reclamation Sage attack here. And since their opponent has to pay for the Pact, they won't be able to cast a Primeval Titan here unless they've got a crazy draw. And our opponent packs it in, alright. So managed to beat Amulets in game 2. So how do we approach game 3 here? I think I like our sideboard plan for the most part. Yeah, I think we run it back. And how about this hand? Well, we've got a Blood Moon, no basic planes to go get right away, but I think we're still keeping a Braid for an Amulet, and a Bojuka Bog. Alright, Flooded Strands, nice. Gives us access to white mana as well as a fetch land for Step Links. So we're off to a reasonable start. If our opponent has Amulet, we've got an answer. If they've got a mana creature, we can kill it. And a Sundial of the Infinite. I think we're just abrading the Scout here and getting in for damage. So next turn we want to drop the Blood Moon as soon as possible, and then we can start playing Glorious ends Chance for Glory combined with Sundial so we don't die. So we're in a reasonable spot. Engineered explosives revealed, they can play it for 1. So they'll be able to answer the saplings before it does too much damage. Alright, so we're gonna lose our source of pressure, which is not great. But I guess we can get in one last big attack, which is nice. And fetch another plains, so we still have double white for Gideons. Play our Blood Moon. Hope they don't have a Rex Sage in hand. And our opponent packs it in. Alright, so they can't beat the Blood Moon. Had 2 extra turns lined up, and that's gonna do it. So I wanna thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. And as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for being part of the channel, and you can become a patron yourself today and decide the topic of future videos over at patreon.com/LegenVD.